Hey guys, and welcome to or back to the Pause in Pursuit podcast with your host, Summer Clark. Today we have a very exciting guest. So in this week's episode, I am going to be speaking to Mariann Bayliss as she answers your questions about the transition from junior to senior agility. Now, this is something that both me and Mariann have been through and are, I suppose, kind of still going through, kind of that early 20s age where you're, still kind of a young person in agility. Well, you are a young person in agility, but you are also starting to think about, leaving the YKC. Soon you're going to be too old for the YKC and you're going to be solely competing in senior events, with the senior competitors, essentially, that you may not be used to, for example. And, that can be a challenging time. There can be imposter syndrome, all those things. It can be more stressful and stuff like that. So that is what we are talking about today. And hopefully this relates to a lot of my listeners. I know a lot of you are juniors or around similar age to me and Mariann. So whether you're going through that now or whether you're still a lot younger, but obviously you will have that in the future. And even if you're older, even if you are just a full senior in the senior world of agility, I think this will still be an interesting insight for you into junior agility because, when you're a junior in agility and you're in the YKC, it does kind of feel like a whole different kind of side to agility, if that makes sense. So yeah, I hope no matter your age, you enjoy this episode and find it interesting. Before we jump into that conversation though, I'm going to give you a little weekly recap and tell you what, guys, it's going to be short and sweet because I haven't been up to a lot. I taught a workshop on Sunday, super fun, lovely indoor venue. Had a great day. Saturday was a day off, which was absolutely lush because I don't have a day off now, or at least I don't have a weekend off or a weekend day off now until mid-August, I believe. I barely even looked that far, but I definitely know it's not until I get back from Portugal, and then a few weeks after that, I'm booked up. And I probably don't even have a break then. There's probably more, because then, more stuff happens still in August. I just haven't quite looked that far. So it was nice to just have a super chill day on Saturday, teaching on Sunday, business as usual every other day, really. So not a ton to update you guys on, which is good for you because it means that we can get straight into the conversation with Mariann. So without further ado, let's get into it.
So I'm Mariann Bayliss. I've been doing agility for approximately 14 years now. I started when I was 6 years old with my Springer Cross collie, Fern. And we have been competing at Crufts and internationally ever since.
Amazing. Did you have Fern on the junior team when I was also on the junior team, or was that a different collie?
I didn't know. That was Frankie. So that was my friend's. We think he was a collie Sheltie cross, probably.
Oh, right. I remember an F name being on the team. Yeah. I was like, is that the one? But no, okay.
No, that's Frankie, bless him. Fernie was retired then, maybe, I think.
Probably, yeah, if you started
when you were 6, actually. I can't remember, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, very long time ago. How old are you now again? Remind me.
20.
20, okay. That goes fast. That goes very fast. You're officially old like me. Well, nearly.
I know, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, 2017.
I know, literally.
Nearly 10 years ago.
Good times, though.
How did that happen?
Oh, miss those times.
Everyone's so tiny on the pictures.
I know.
So cute.
And now I look at the current YKC members, I'm like, I'm so sad. We'll never have that again.
We were tiny little dots, and they're all big and tall and scary now.
I know, so bizarre. So the first question then, this is kind of jumping straight into quite a controversial one because I know a lot of people have different opinions on this, but do you agree with there being an 18 to 24-year-old age category in the YKC? And recently they brought this in for, I think they brought it in for GB-related, Crufts-related stuff as well, so older people can still, compete against the juniors. So what do you kind of think?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think it allows people who come into the sport a little bit later on, who potentially, it may be their first dog, it may be their first family dog. I think it allows those kind of people to have the opportunity to go to Crufts and have that experience, even though they may be a little bit older, they may not be as experienced. So I think it definitely gives those people the opportunity to get to Crufts and, you know, have those experiences with their dogs. And I also think it eases the transition from juniors to seniors, just because that 18 to 24 category, you know, if you win Agility Dog of the Year, the 18 to 24 category, you get an invite, I believe, to the tryouts.
Yes, yeah, that's it.
So it helps to bridge that gap. You know, obviously, you have to go through a lot to get to the final of Agility Dog of the Year, as you know.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, if you're capable of winning, you know, at that sort of event under that sort of pressure, then you're more than deserved of a place at the tryouts to go against the adults and, you know, prove that you're worthy of a place on the team.
Yeah.
So I think from that perspective, it's definitely a good thing. And also it gives people like us with our young dogs the opportunity, you know, to bring them on in higher level environments, you know. So like yourself with Arrow and me with my young dogs coming through like Star and Wild, for them to have the experience doing Agility Dog of the Year or Jumping Cup, things like that. You know, obviously our aims are, you know, to get to champ and singles at Crufts. It gives them the opportunity in that environment to be able to experience it and get to grips with how everything works before then, you know, you get to champ and it's a huge experience for them and they're overwhelmed by it and things like that. So I think it gives our young dogs and even our older dogs the opportunity to run in that sort of environment that they, you know, they don't get to experience other than at those big events.
Yeah, I suppose as well, I think I said that they've incorporated that in Team GB, but they haven't, have they? It is still 18 is the cut-off for the junior team, but then everything else, like Crufts, you can do in the YKC till you're 24. So, and to be fair, I suppose a 19-year-old going to Crufts against the adults, do you know what I mean? Like, they're still more junior than not, so I definitely also agree with it. But like you said, with Team GB, I think if you can do the YKC stuff in the main arena and do well, then you're pretty much ready to go in with the adults, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
So you'd hope so anyway. And it's so much harder to qualify for Crufts in like champs, singles and all sorts. So if 100%. It wasn't for YKC, not like we wouldn't have, like there'd barely be any juniors at Crufts because it's just so hard and the standard's so high.
Definitely, and we want to encourage people, you know, to do the qualifiers and try out for these events and things like that. So I think it's really important that we encourage people rather than putting people off.
Do you kind of understand how some people dislike it? Because I struggle.
100%.
I also kind of struggle with that in the sense of, you know, people complain about it, but then in pretty much every sort of qualifying class, semi-final and stuff, it's broken down into age categories anyway. So the only one where, say, you'd get a 6-year-old competing against a 24-year-old is the very, very final in the main arena, which, like you said, is hard to get to anyway. So I think people moan thinking, oh, you know, parents, my little kid is against this, like, adult, I suppose.
Yeah, I think I do understand why people get frustrated with it, but I feel like there probably isn't an easier way of running an event like that, you know, that we have so many time pressures that people don't realise, like, behind the scenes, that we only have, like, a certain amount of time to set up and we're really, like, you know, on it. The timing's so strict and we wouldn't have time to do, like, a under-12s competition with 20 under-12s and split it by height and age. And, you know, there's so many factors that, you know, we get such a limited amount of time. I mean, we've been very lucky getting Jumping Cup in the fight, in the main ring.
Yes, true.
We've been very, very lucky to get that recently. But I'd completely get people's frustration because, you know, there's a tiny tot competing against us who've been in it for years with our now experienced dogs. And I do understand it. However, you know, there is, you know, people are going to lose out however it's run.
Exactly, yeah. You can't please everyone, can you?
Exactly, and I know a lot of people say, like, you know, it's hard to combine the heights and things like that, and I've been on both ends of that. I mean, I ran a little terrier in the jumping cup final last year, put in a beautiful clear round, and I think I came 10th.
Yeah.
Because she just couldn't compete against the collies.
Yes,
but
exactly,
if you would have put her against small dogs in my age category, she probably would have done a lot better.
Yes, exactly. But that's just how it is, isn't it?
Exactly. And I've also been on the other end of it, where my medium dog would be quicker than any of the collies.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you found with Arrow, you know?
that's it.
Our medium dogs actually, you know, excel more than the big dogs because of the kind of nature of the course between turning and straight lines, especially on the carpet where dogs aren't used to it.
Yeah, very true.
So I think I do get why people get frustrated. However, you know, when we get to the main arena, it's about the TV, it's about the live streaming, and we're on such a schedule for that I do understand why it's done the way it's done.
Yeah,
and
they're rushing anyway,
aren't they? A lot of people realise that.
Yeah, that's true.
But
and
that's
it's not
why it's done.
It's not just the age, is it? It's that, like I said, all the heights are combined too. Like that is just they throw everyone in because they physically don't have time, and you know.
Yes.
We wouldn't want it to be going into like the night. Do you get what I mean? Just to add these classes. So how else are we going to do it? It gives these kids the experiences, and as well,
100%.
like it's kind of similar in the adult or senior world as well. Like you could get us competing in the sort of senior world against someone who's 30 odd, have been in the sport way longer and is a trainer, so it's never going to be totally fair, is it? So it's the same kind of thing, just in different worlds, like I suppose.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, you're never gonna please anyone. So people just need to cope. So
you said it, not me.
Yeah, I've said it so many times. I'm like, oh, it's like with the ABC thing for YKC when it was a point system, and I'm thinking, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. Like it just is what it is. There's just get on with it. Like it sounds so harsh of me, and they've changed the rules anyway, so they'll probably change it back. You just never know, do you? Just go with it, I say. So the second question is, what about the YKC has changed since you first became a member? So we're talking 6-year-old you versus you in the YKC now.
I don't think I can remember that far back.
It is a long time.
I think there's definitely more training opportunities for newbies now. I think, you know, there's a lot more encouraging people to try different things, you know, try dabbling in different disciplines. And, you know, I think there's a lot of things now that are aimed more at children being able to, you know, find what they enjoy, find their friends in the YKC.
Yeah, true.
You know, and lots of things like that. You know, when I was younger, we didn't have the kind of training days that we have now. We used to have camp, which, you know, we kind of do over the summer camp now instead. But definitely there's more kind of things for like members now that they can do. And definitely if like, you know, you haven't already, definitely take a look on the website, see what's about for you and your dogs. And, you know, if you've got ideas and things that you want to see in the YKC, you know, 100%, you know, put them forwards and we'll try and do what we can, because as much as these things, you know, we try and put things on, sometimes they don't get interest, and we're just trying to put things on that we think people, you know, want to see and want to do. But at the end of the day,
there's no point if there's no interest, is there?
We hear from the members rather than us just assuming that's what people are going to want. So
yeah, it's that feedback, isn't it?
Definitely. And, you know, I think if anybody has any ideas like that, you know, obviously we do our KCI training day, we do the summer camp, we do our days at Stoneleigh with, what's the word, with all the little kind of have a go things, you know, trying lots of different disciplines. We do team building.
I'm awful. I always forget about all the other disciplines. I'm in my little agility bubble, and then I'm like, oh wait, there's loads of stuff going on, isn't there, in the YKC?
Definitely, yeah. And I think, you know, it's just worth people coming forward with ideas, because if people don't come forwards, you know, how do we know what we're doing is what people want to see. And, you know, are people not coming because they can't make the dates, or are people not coming because they're not interested?
Yeah. And as well, like at Stoneleigh, you said, they often put on like the have a go stuff as well as the qualifiers for Crufts, which I think is quite good, because then everyone can come, like, no matter what level you're at. You know, the highest of the levels can come try qualify for Crufts, but then if you've never done it before, you can still go to the same event and have something to do, which I think is a good way to do it.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. But yeah, you know, the more people come forward with ideas, we're more than happy to do things like, you know, if they're feasible, we're happy to do them. We just need people to, you know, come up with different ideas than just like, you know, a training day.
No, that's true, because there's already a lot of those.
Yeah, plenty.
Yeah, very true. I'm just sad because I didn't realise the YKC was a thing until I was like 14, 15. And I was like,
oh really?
Yeah, if I'd just known earlier, because I got my first dog when I was 8, so I was like, I could have had so many more years in it, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
Didn't have a clue. But anyway,
wow.
Yeah, I feel like
I've been doing it since they had teams. That's how long I've been doing it.
Yeah, that's a long time. That was a good time, actually, yeah. I'm sad they got rid of that. I did it once at Crufts or twice, I can't remember. When did they get rid of it? It was like probably was around 2017 time, was it?
I was going to say, it was definitely pre-COVID.
Yeah, I think it was.
But, oh gosh, it was chaos. It was more chaos than pairs.
Well, yeah, it was like literally double everything.
Double pairs, yeah.
Yeah, crazy. I do like pairs, though. At least they still have some, like, cooperative event, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing that I'm happy has changed is that, like you said, the addition of the jumping cup in the main arena. Yeah. I always feel like one just isn't enough. Like, the YKC needs more, like, airtime, you know? And if your dog doesn't have very good contacts, then you're fine.
Exactly, you're fine.
Oh, so the next question is, what is one thing you would change about the junior agility world as a whole? So not just the YKC, just the junior agility world itself. Again, very broad question.
Yeah, I know. I was struggling with this one. I think I would like to see more kind of opportunities for higher level handlers. So like more finals, more things like that, you know, I get, obviously we have crafts and things, but, you know, could we have like something the horse show for the juniors, or you know, something else for them to aim for?
Yeah, Junior Olympia, that'd be great.
Could you imagine? That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, again, it all comes back to preparing them for then when they transition into adults, because they'll have been there, they'll have experienced that environment. It won't be such a daunting thing. And then when they have got the dog that can get them there in adults, they as handlers are a lot more confident, which then helps the dog.
Yeah,
so
literally.
I do feel like, you know, showcasing our like international juniors and high level juniors at events like that, or even just having like, you know, junior champ or something like that.
That'd be so cool.
I suppose the only holdback is getting the numbers for it.
Yeah, I feel like people would love stuff like that, though. Do you know what I mean? Because like I said, there is so many juniors in agility these days. Like, I feel like there's way more now than there was when we were like proper little, if that makes sense.
Definitely, there's loads now. But I think more opportunities for showcasing our juniors, because I think people can be a bit put off because it's like, well, you can do crafts, and then, you know, people do crafts and then it's like, well, what more have I got to aim for now? Like, I think for juniors that is kind of the top of the top, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's so much more for then seniors. Like, seniors have crafts too, but then they also have all these other things.
Yeah, so I think maybe, like, it would be lovely to have more events and finals for our juniors.
Yeah, no, that would be
to
good.
Kind of encourage them to do more, and, you know.
Yeah, and it's that running under pressure, isn't it? Like thinking, 100%. Oh, this is a semi-important run, or this is, you know, with the crowds and everything and whatever else you get in those big events. It's like, the more exposure they have to that, the better they'll be when they do have to transition to being an adult.
Definitely.
Because it will come, there's no avoiding it. It creeps up on all of us. Take it from me. And yeah, you're right about, like, I feel like people forget in the YKC as well how many high-level juniors we have, you know, that are competing at that really top level. And it's not just, you know, really, really little kids, you know, coming in running their parents' dogs for fun or whatever it is now. You know, you've got juniors that are training their own dogs from scratch and, you know, really striving for that high level and getting there. And it's just kind of remembering, you know, yes, it's for fun, you know, for kids to do agility, but there are also people in there that do it at a really high level and want to do all these big things. So I think that's important.
100%, definitely, I agree.
So what do you miss most about the junior agility world? Now, I guess we're kind of still in it, aren't we? Like, I like to say we're clinging on, or I'm clinging on anyway. But, you know, again, compared to when you were, you know, like a real junior, like a proper kid in it, what do you kind of miss about that? Now you're kind of in the senior world and making that transition.
Yeah, I think I do miss, like, you know, the training camps and events that they used to hold, and, you know, going to, when we used to do it at Newbury, when we used to do the camp over Halloween, and, you know, we'd all go in and we'd carve pumpkins one night, and, you know, I made some really good friends through that I still keep in touch with now. And you know, just things like that. You know, we'd all camp, you'd do your training in the day, you'd do lots of different things. You know, you'd be put in a group, you'd meet loads of different people. They'd have all sorts of dogs, you know, from all sorts of backgrounds. And, you know, you made friends on a weekend, you know, that...
And it wasn't just about the agility, was it? Like you said, there was activities outside of that.
Connecting with your dogs in general.
Yes, and making friends.
It wasn't just about, you know, you do your discipline that you're good at, you know. I remember when I did it, I did a bit of rally, I did a bit of showing, I did a bit of heel work, I did a bit of fly ball, you know, like I did a bit of everything with it.
Yeah.
And it was so lovely because the things that even then I thought, do you know what, I'm going to hate obedience because it's so boring.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, I actually really enjoyed that.
Yeah, they get the stereotypes, don't they? And then you do it and it's like, ooh.
Yeah, definitely. But I do miss doing the kind of training camps and, you know, going for the day and just like meeting new people, having fun with my dog, and
feels like a holiday.
Know, just having no pressure and just having a laugh.
Yeah, I know, because it does get so serious, doesn't it?
Yeah,
as you get
definitely.
Older. As much as we tried to keep it fun, and we do manage to keep it fun, there's nothing quite like the junior days, is there?
Yeah, no, I definitely miss those, and, you know, just like having a laugh on the night, playing games.
What camps?
Up.
So they still have a camp, don't they, the YKC?
Yeah,
so there's the
they
summer
still
camp.
Have the summer camp.
Is that the only one?
They do have a Scottish camp as well.
Oh, right, okay.
For the Scottish Young Kennel Club, but our main one is the summer camp.
Yes.
Where's they don't do the one over Halloween anymore. It's at Rutland the week before KCI. Okay.
Again, wish I'd known that when I was really little, because that's really close to me.
I know. Literally, it's brilliant. It's so good.
God damn it. Anyway, what is the most impactful lesson the junior agility world has taught you? Getting deep and meaningful now.
I was going to say, this one's deep. It taught me a lot, and I do think it has contributed to the way I am today. It's definitely shaped me as a person, and the way I think and feel about things now. But, I mean, it's still evident now. I mean, for me, as hard as it is as a kid to kind of, like, drill down into what, like, why you're really doing something, like... Because, you know, you want to have fun, you want to be out with your friends, and, you know, you don't really mind what happens, but you're there because you want to do well at it. You know, you wouldn't compete if we weren't competitive.
Exactly, so, that's what I always say.
Even though people might not be like, I want to win, I want to win, I want to win, you know, there's some element of you that's like, I want to do well.
Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't bother, would you? Like, you wouldn't spend all the money and time on it, you just wouldn't. You'd just train.
Yeah. So, I think for me... one of the biggest lessons that I learned from being in the junior world in general was just to focus on your goals, what's important to you. Like, don't let things get you down. it sticks in a field that we're making our dogs jump over.
Yeah, I even still have to remind myself of that, like, today, like, all the time.
It sticks
I'm like,
in a field.
Get some perspective, calm down.
You know, it's a hobby, and
Yeah.
you know, we do it for fun with our dogs, and that's what it should be about.
You got to think back to, like, when you did join as a junior and, like, why you wanted to do it then. Like, we didn't care as much then. Like, obviously we still did, but it was just because we loved our dogs and loved the sport, and then it gets so serious. So it's just reminding yourself into it.
Definitely, and I think it's also taught me that, you know, to be a big believer in fate, things do happen for a reason, and, you know, it might not be your opportunity this time, but, you know, again, don't let it get you down. Keep persevering, keep working, because although it might not be your chance this time, your time will come. You know, you will get something. It might not be what you thought it was going to be, but you will get something.
Yeah.
And something will come your way that will make you go, okay, that's why that happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I didn't do that.
Yeah,
because
every
look
time.
at what I've got now.
Yeah, literally every time.
And honestly, that's the biggest lesson that I have to keep reminding myself, you know. Even now, I'm like, things happen for a reason. Didn't get that, but something will come.
Yeah.
That I'll look back and go, that's why I didn't do that.
Yeah, even if it's in, like, 3 years or something, it'll still be that good that you'll be like, oh, doesn't matter what happened in 2025 because this. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
definitely, 100%. Yeah,
a bit like when I broke my foot. I was like, my life's literally over. Like, why would this happen? I can't do agility. I had to miss Olympia. But then now I'm like, oh, actually, now Ara's really good at distance stuff, and now we're doing better because of it. But in the moment, I was like, I hate my life. This is the end.
Oh my God, absolutely. You know, and it's not until something like that happens, you know, that you're like, well, if you would have carried on, if you would have run at Olympia, would you have been able to run at tryouts? Would you have made it worse? Would you have made the team?
Exactly.
You know, and it's things like that where you go, actually, I rested because I knew what really in the long run was important, and it paid off.
Yeah, exactly. And I always also say, when, like, on the really hard days where it's not going well, I'm like, oh, why do I even bother? I'm like, the only way something good will never happen is if I quit. Whereas if you don't, then, like you said, it will happen eventually.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow, so deep and meaningful that.
That's my biggest lesson.
Yeah, no, I've got to agree. I feel like that's quite a common thing. Like, I feel like everyone learns that from, well, probably sport in general, to be fair.
Yeah.
But agility as well.
I think so, but I think it's a hard sport on the juniors because it's not just relying on your skill and your talent. You're relying on an animal with its own brain and its own mind, and
and it doesn't matter how good you get or how good you perform. If the dog's not
dogs
having it,
will be dogs.
Yeah, if the dog's not having
robots,
a good day,
you know,
then you feel really bad about yourself. But it's not you. You were fine. It was the dog that day. But then another day, it probably might be you. But then it's remembering
90% of the time
we all do that. Like we all like come out the ring and go.
Dogs.
Yeah, we all come out the ring and go, why on earth did I do that? Like, what? Can I just redo it? Because I wouldn't make that mistake again.
Yeah.
Every time.
I get that a lot. But yeah.
But we move on from it.
I definitely think that, you know, it's a hard lesson to learn. But when you learn it, it changes your perspective on everything.
Yeah, even outside of the sport.
It's a mature lesson to learn because you have to realise that you're not perfect, and, you know, that things don't always go your way.
Yeah, no, definitely. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, kind of now moving on to more of the junior to senior transition itself, what is one thing you wish the senior world, now that you're in it, would adopt from the junior world? So how could the senior world be better if it sort of went, oh, junior world's doing this, let's do this?
Definitely the team spirit and togetherness of the juniors is something that really is second to none. I mean, it's just so lovely because, like, even at shows, you know, you'll see the kids that are on the team, you know, getting together and, you know, supporting each other when they're running their dogs, going and watching each other, walking around the shows together, you know, which you don't really get in the senior world.
No,
as much.
yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, even I've noticed that. I'm like, oh, they're like a little group of like, you see like you get your groups in school and stuff. It's like they made that friend group from like the junior Team GB or something like that, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah, no, it is lovely because, when you're kids, you kind of don't see the bad in people. You just, you
Yeah.
just kind of get on with everybody, and everybody's got similar interests to you, and it's great because you've found people that like the same things as you and are good at the same things as you.
Yeah.
So you really find your people then.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Whereas I think with the adults, I think because it's so much more intense and so much more, what's the right word?
Competitive, I guess.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more competitive, people prioritise themselves a lot more.
Yeah.
Because, they have to get in the right headspace, they have to bond with their dog, they have their routines. And I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and I totally encourage routine and things like that. But I do think it then takes you away from people.
Yeah, no, I do know exactly what you mean. Yeah, people do definitely keep more themselves in the senior space, I think, because like I said, there's just other things to think about that people prioritise. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it's definitely a nice thing what the juniors have, because sometimes as well, if you get too worked up about it, then it doesn't go as well anyway. And the run actually goes worse, whereas the juniors are having a good time with each other, enjoying each other's company. They're probably in a better headspace for it anyway.
Yeah definitely, because I think there's a very fine line between agility being a social and agility being what you're paying to do. Do you know what I mean?
There is a very fine line. I like to think of balance as the goal.
Yeah, 100%, because you want to go and, run your dog and have fun and do well, but you also need some downtime with friends, and, you need that kind of step away from it all. Because it'd do your head in otherwise. I mean, it'd do my head in.
Yeah, because literally, if you went to a show and the only thing you went there for is this particular result, and then you might not get that result, but at least you've gone away for the weekend with your mates. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's giving you that other thing
definitely.
To not think, oh, this was a complete waste of time and I'm miserable the whole weekend. Because no one wants to finish their work week, go on the weekend and have a horrible time and then start work again on Monday. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. 100%, I agree with you.
So maybe, the community in the junior space, maybe if the senior world could adopt that, it would be nice.
Definitely.
I feel like again with seniors, it's very individual dependent. Some people are like that, some people aren't. I feel
some do, some don't, and we all have politics and we all have our friends and things like that. But I think you walk past a ring and it doesn't hurt to go, oh, how was your run? Or that was a lovely run, well done. Rather than keeping it to yourself and thinking, oh, they're going to think I'm weird if I say well done.
Juniors just don't care as much what other people think, do they? Which is great.
People will come up to me and say, oh, I saw you run early and it was absolutely stunning. It was such a shame you had a pole, or it was just a shame you missed your contact, or you did so and so.
Flips your mood around, doesn't it?
Thank you. That's really kind. I really appreciate that. And it's just when somebody comments out of the blue, it's just oh, that's really kind of them. You didn't have to say that.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And it's just a bit of a you walk away oh.
Yeah, exactly. And if you are upset or not very happy over the run, that completely changes your week. That could change how you feel about the day, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it really does. And it takes nothing to go, well done so and so, that was a lovely run.
It's quite a simple change, isn't it?
It's nothing.
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah. Cost nothing.
But it can make such a big difference to people, and I don't think we do it enough.
Definitely.
I don't think we do. I'm guilty of it. I don't do it enough. I walk past people and go, oh, they're going to think I'm so weird if I go, well done, that was a lovely run.
I've definitely sort of fallen into the trap of just being in my own little bubble, in my own little head, thinking about my own runs and stuff like that. But it's just trying to get out of that sort of habit, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's hard because everybody's different, everybody's individual, and everybody has their own ways of doing things. But, it takes nothing to go, well done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely more common in the junior world, I'd say, from experience.
Yeah,
but maybe
definitely.
that's just how it is. But hopefully, after everyone listens to this podcast episode, we'll have more people at shows.
We'll just be going around shows with everybody, like everybody being like, "Well done, well done, well done."
I'll be like, "What's going on? Why is everyone so nice?" Oh,
I remember now.
This is mine and Mariann's doing. Oh, amazing.
This is when everybody starts coming up to us at shows and being like, I think they're like, a bit worried about like their runs. Do you think we should go up to them and say well done every time?
Yeah, just get the wrong end of the stick.
It's not my own insecurities.
Yeah, promise. Oh, amazing. So what is the hardest thing then about the junior to senior transition in your opinion? And I think there's quite a few. I think it's just quite hard in general when you first go into it. Like you ease into it, but to start with, it's quite daunting.
I think it's a big step up from juniors to seniors. I think the standard is so much higher. Dogs are so much faster. And also the consistency needed to be competitive at an adult level is beyond insane.
And the courses are a lot harder as well than like junior.
Yeah, the courses are a lot harder. Dogs are so much faster. And they need to be more consistent,
Yeah, definitely.
Like with the current GB process, you needed to have less than 5 faults over 2 rounds with hitting a meters per second to get the win on, because that's what the world standard is.
Yeah.
And that's so difficult to achieve, especially going from juniors to adults, because, as kids, you go to school, you probably train once or twice a week, you go to your local club that probably doesn't set up things as difficult as you need or you're after.
Yeah, it's not your whole life at that point, is it?
Yeah, whereas then you step up into adults, and if you look at like 90% of teams, and when you look at AWC and things like that, they're all full-time agility trainers that have access to equipment.
Very true.
They have access to like top quality facilities, and they're able to train, and they're able to go out and do 5 minutes a day and, target one specific skill. And, when you're training once a week at your local club, that's never going to compare to somebody that can do, that can train every day or,
and yet in your head, you still end up comparing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's really hard not to in agility.
I do it. I'm like, I had a job, and, I have equipment in my back garden and I can train, but like even though it's
all day somewhere else.
Yeah. Like even though it's there, or I'd come home and it'd be raining, or I'd come home and it'd be dark.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though you've got it there, I never use it. Like, as much as you're like, oh, you're so lucky you've got like all your own equipment, I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm really, really lucky to have all that, but I never use it.
Yeah, it's not quite that simple, is it?
It's when you have it there, you take it for granted.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I'm like, oh, I could just walk out in my back garden, but I could do that tomorrow.
Yeah,
and then
true.
Tomorrow becomes the day after, becomes the day after.
Yeah, and you've still got to have the time to set the whole, set a course or decide what you want to do, write a training plan.
Literally, I've got to move like 26 sandbags if I want to set a course up with like 3 or 4 tunnels in it. And
it's so hard to do on your own as well.
Dog walk and A-frame on my own, and it's like...
Yeah, it isn't that simple.
Yeah, it's tricky. It is tricky, but, when people do it as a job, they've got the time to devote and commit to training, and, they have training plans and things like that, and a lot of like documenting, tracking what your dog's been good at, if they've been taking poles on a certain angle, if they've been missing contact from a certain approach,
and they're going to be resetting the courses anyway.
Yeah, and they have that time to, analyse and process and look at things like that, because that's their job, that's what they're paid to do.
That's why this is my final goal. I'm like, this must happen.
Yeah. And it's tricky, because if you're not doing that, it's really hard to reach the standard of the people that are doing it every day.
Yeah.
Because you just can't put the hours in.
It kind of goes back to even how we were saying about, you know, people moaning that 6-year-olds are competing against 24-year-olds, but then that's the equivalent of in the senior world.
Amateurs competing against professionals.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Like, you're going to get it anywhere.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can't help it. All you can do is, when you do train, put in effective training.
Yeah.
Rather than just like dabbling around, having a bit of fun.
Quality, not quantity.
Want to be, absolutely.
Always.
Yeah.
I've learned that the hard way over the years, where I've just done too much of not the right thing. And it feels like I've done nothing then, because I'm like, well, I haven't made any progress.
Not got better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We learn these things though, don't we?
Yeah. My favourite like training suggestion, like anybody that I teach, like if I'm like, okay, so your dog seems to be struggling with a thread or wrap. So if you've got to jump at home, right, cool. You're going to get one wing and you're going to do 2 minutes. You're going to get a handful of biscuits and you're going to work till those biscuits have run out. So let's say you've got 10 biscuits. You're only going to do 10 reps, but it's going to be 10 meaningful reps.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're going to leave it. You're not going to rep it over and over and over for an hour.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
There's no point, you know? You're better doing 10 reps, 5 on each side, and leaving it.
Yeah, and finishing on a good note. Without
I'm a massive believer in latent learning as well, that, you know, if you leave them to mull it over, you'll progress so much quicker.
Yeah, no, that's so true. So I guess that's a little hack for juniors to feel like, you know, there's stuff that we can do to, you know, maybe not match the standard of all those professional seniors, but at least keep up to the point when we're not going in thinking, I can't do this is impossible.
100%. I love little training exercises on one jump. Like, I would much rather sit and, you know, like, do a 2 on 2 off on a step than train a full course. Like, I'd much rather reinforce skills and, you know, teach, like, reinforce jump cues and things like that. And I do that. I've got a wing in my living room and I'll just sit on the floor for like 2 or 3 minutes.
In your pyjamas, just before bed.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Like, we laugh about it, but it's what we do, isn't it?
Exactly,
like,
yeah. And it pays off.
You know?
Yeah. I think, again, it's a fine line because you need a balance. You do need some course running, obviously, because that's what we're seeing in competition. But, like, again, it's doing what you can, isn't it? So, like, throughout the week, if you're working and you get home and it's dark. It's doing what you can
with what you've got.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, I tell people to use their wheelie bins and stuff. Like, I'm like, if you've got to jump, no, right, use your wheelie bin, use your kitchen chair.
Yeah, you can get so creative with it, can't you? It's quite fun.
Yeah. So I think definitely it's just the standard and consistency needed on the higher levels of courses at so much speed.
Yeah, that is definitely the hardest thing. But again, I feel like it's hard when that initial transition happens, but then when you're competing at that level consistently, even if you're not doing that well, you do eventually get used to the standard and it's not such a shock, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and especially when you get into sort of champ or the higher grades anyway, you're going up against more challenging courses as it is, and week to week at normal competitions, you're getting practice, you know, you're getting training, you're getting practicing on those harder skills.
Yeah.
I think it's harder when you bring through a young dog and then it goes in at a higher level earlier because they haven't got competition experience.
Yeah, I feel like that's why a lot of people hold their younger dogs back in the grades because they don't want to progress them too fast because it already feels so fast.
Yeah.
Or like just doing jumping or something
Not so much for Wild at the minute. I'd quite like her to speed up a little bit. Going through the grades.
Again, it's very dog dependent, isn't it?
And just like being on her 5th competition.
Oh, bless her.
She's a loony, bless her. I love her to bits. She's so cute.
Arrow took forever to be decent, and then now he's doing great. So it's never too late.
Wild has the opposite problem.
Oh, really?
Wild's too fast for her and good and just...
okay.
Yeah.
It's worse problems to have, I feel. You'll get it.
I'll let you know that one.
Yeah, when she's winning champs, I'll come up and I'll be like, see, told you she'd get there.
See, I told you. When she's like 11 probably and she's just about to calm down.
Better that way than having to retire her really early, I suppose.
True. You can cut that bit out, me just being like, my dog is a nutter.
No, I think it's good because I think it's so relatable. Like, all of our dogs have their struggles and they all have different struggles. Like, literally, there's no one with a dog that's completely perfect, I swear. Like, they all have their little bits that are just difficult to overcome.
Yeah. All of mine have had sticking points.
Yeah. I don't think there's a dog that doesn't have a single sticking point in its career.
True.
Like, it is normal, I feel.
Coral's sticking point at the minute is me.
Oh, no?
She runs beautifully for everybody else, and then she gets to me and I'm like, oh, this dog's really good and she's been doing so well with everybody else.
Oh no, maybe it's the subconscious pressure there.
I feel pressure with my own dog because she does so well with other people.
That's why I never give Ari to anyone else.
Because he loves it. Because he's like, I go with everybody.
Bless her. She has all the friends.
She does have all the friends, which for a very antisocial dog is very strange.
Very true, actually, yeah. She's special.
She's very special.
So next question then would be, did you experience imposter syndrome during the junior to senior transition? And if so, how did you overcome this? Now, I definitely have experienced that before, especially going into my first like adult GB tryout event or queuing up in Champ with all these like quote unquote famous handlers, and you're like, oh my god, why am I here? Why am I with them? Like, I've had that so when I first transitioned so many times.
Yeah, I think it's been a difficult one for me. So I was competing in Champ before I got on the team, I think. So for me, I was already competing in Champ and I was already competing against those people, and I knew that my dog was capable against those kind of dogs.
Okay.
So I think it was trickier for me to adjust, but then I was in juniors, so it was a completely different thing at that point because I wasn't competing against them in tryouts and things like that.
Yeah, true. I suppose that's better though, because you don't go, it's not like straight from one to the other. It's kind of a bit of both.
It wasn't as daunting.
Yeah.
But the hardest thing for me, I think, was the amount of pressure that I felt. I felt a lot of pressure to be training my dog more, to be, you know, doing what these like top handlers are doing, and I did struggle with that quite a lot. But I think because it was in the UK, I think I'd have been a lot worse if I was going out and I wasn't on development team. I think I'd have been a lot worse.
Oh yeah, last year's GB team.
But because it was in the UK, I didn't feel quite as daunted because
and it was a venue we're used to, and
I knew where it was, I knew what was happening, you know, I knew the venue and things like that. Whereas when it's abroad, it seems more of a thing.
Yeah, more like a big deal.
You know, because you've got the travel and, you know, everything else and all the prep to get there, and you're like, oh my god, I'm spending all this money to go out.
Yeah, no, so
and
true.
Some sticks in a field.
Literally. We're crazy, aren't we? All of us.
I know, it's like, oh my god, I'm spending my life savings on sticks in a field.
Literally story of my life.
I did find it really difficult because I was in development as well. I felt like I've been given this opportunity, but do I really deserve it? Should I really be here?
Yeah.
You know, if it wasn't in the UK, I wouldn't have been put on the team and things like that. You know, you start to overthink quite a lot and
I know what you mean.
Tell yourself that you shouldn't be on the team and, you know, you're not good enough and things like that. And I think recently, I think that's why, you know, it's like with Coral, you know, she absolutely loves it. And I put so much pressure on myself because I'm like, this dog's amazing. And, like, I can't, like, get to a champ final because I'm such a nervous wreck. And, you know,
the mental side of it is definitely the hardest.
Yeah, it's so hard. And I think that's why I've tried to step back a little bit and go, do you know what? My dog loves it, whether she wins a ticket or not, or gets E'd 10 times over. 100%. So do you know what? At the end of the day, as long as she's happy and she's having a whale of a time, flying off a dog walk and dropping poles.
Yeah.
Do you know what? So be it. Yeah. Because I'm happy with that.
Yeah. That's a good
And again,
mindset.
I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned in the past couple of years is that, do you know what? If your dog's enjoying it, it don't matter. You might look like the biggest idiot in the world, like you've never trained your dog in your life, but do you know what? Your dog's had a great time, regardless of what it's done.
And also, if you or your dog then get injured, you kind of go, oh, I should have just enjoyed it while I could do it. Like, at least both of us can do it. Do you know what I mean? It literally strips that far back.
Cozzy was out last season for pretty much the whole season. I pulled her out at Hinckley, and she didn't come back till the end of August. So she had like a couple of months out.
That was injury, was it?
Well, she was measuring on a backside slice, and I was like, something not right with this dog. Yeah. She was, I think she was 6 seconds off Betty in champ agility.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I was like,
you can tell, can't you, when there's something.
She had a wide turn, but
not 6 second wide turn.
I just knew something wasn't right with her, so I had her checked. Nobody could find anything. I got to the point where I was like, oh my God, she's like going blind, like she can't see. Referred her to the eye hospital and everything, and everybody was like, no, there's nothing wrong with your dog, there's nothing wrong with your dog. And I'm like, there is. I'm telling you, there is something wrong with my dog. And everyone's like, no. Every specialist I saw physio, I saw massage, I saw osteo, I saw everything under the sun. And they were like, no, she's fine, she's fine. And I'm like, she's not fine.
No.
And
you know your own dog better than anyone else at the end of the day, don't you really?
Oh, 100%. Like, you know, and I got us in by Cairo in the end, and she was like, her axis is out, this is out, her pelvis is tilted, this, that, and the other.
Jeez.
She did some adjustments, and she's been absolutely fine ever since, touch wood.
Okay, wow. It's just finding that right person, isn't it?
And, yeah, like, you know, you get to that point where you're like, do you know what? Whatever level I'm at, I'm just glad to be running my dog.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because again, like we said earlier, you take it for granted, don't you, what you have? Like with the equipment, you just take for granted the fact that you can go to a show and run your dog. And then it gets taken away and you're like, oh, I'd do anything to like go to a show, run my dog and get eaten everything. Because I can't even go now.
Yeah, literally. I mean, like, Cozzy's just such a nutter. And, like, I have to be so careful with her because she will just, like, slam herself into something. I'm like, please don't do that.
Yeah. Honestly, Arrow looks so coordinated when he's on the course, and then you bring him home and he's like running into things, and you're like, what is going on with you? How are you not more injured?
Agility, mate. What are you on?
How are you not completely like battered?
Bless him.
Anyway.
But yeah, I think definitely I do struggle with it sometimes because I do compare myself to other people, and I'm like, you know, my dog would be so good with somebody else, and you know, but then you just have to think, do you know what? My dog might be good with somebody else, but she's only the way she is because of what I've done with her.
Exactly.
Or what I've done with him, or the work I've put into them.
Yeah, precisely. And I also feel
like... they might not have been like that with somebody else because somebody else, and they're not what I want and given up on them, you know?
And I also feel like imposter syndrome isn't just for juniors transitioning to seniors. Like, seniors get it, like, against other seniors when they haven't even been in juniors. Like, it is... I think it's something that happens in sport in general.
Yeah,
and in life in general, to be honest.
Definitely.
So, did you find it easier to make friends in the junior world than the senior world? I feel like we've kind of already covered this in a previous question, but I'm going to say... Yeah, I'm going to say I feel like most people would find that easier just because of the, like you said earlier, the events and the community side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think because, like, I feel like I'm a bit more mature and I tend to talk about my feelings a lot. But I've found it easier to make friends with adults because they understand it and they've had more life experience and they're like, that's okay, that's normal.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Whereas if you talk to other kids about it, they're like, what's the matter with you? Live your life, come on, stop being so down, like, let's go. And I'm like, actually, no.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
So I think I've been able to make more friends through adults than I have through juniors because of the kind of maturity and life experience level.
Yeah. So you make more of an emotional connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
true. I think you make more friends for life in adults than you do through juniors because you kind of get a bit of the teenage stroppiness with each other.
And also a lot of juniors...
You get a bit competitive, your dog's better than mine and all that.
And a lot of juniors end up stopping before they even get to the adult. Or do you get what I mean? They like kind of... I can think of so many people we were in juniors with back in the day that don't even do
anymore.
it anymore. So
yeah, and there's so many reasons as well. Like, you know, some of them go off to uni, some of them just don't want to do it.
Yeah,
some of them
exactly.
don't like the pressure of it. You know, so there's so many reasons why people don't make it out of juniors.
Definitely. Whereas I feel like if you're still in it when you're an adult, you're in it for life. Like you're in.
You're stuck.
Exactly. You're trapped in it. But we love it though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the opportunities to make friends are more prevalent in juniors, but then the actual, you know, ability to make deeper friendships is more there in seniors,
adults.
Basically. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
So in your opinion then, how much harder is it to succeed competitively as a senior as opposed to as a junior? And I guess this depends on what you're competing in.
Yeah. So I think, again, it comes back to it's much harder due to the standard and level of training required at the top. You know, again, we need speed, accuracy, and the consistency. Now more and more things are coming down to like 2-round qualifications, like singles and things like that. You know, whereas before it was like points, which again you had to be consistent, but you could do with getting round a round and winning.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And having like a lucky run and getting a decent whack of points, you'd probably be all right.
Yeah.
Now it's like, you know, you've got to get round 2 rounds fast and clear. But I think it's hard now because, you know, in the top 5 or 6 in heights for singles and things, you've got 6 double clears and you've got to be the fastest if you want to qualify. And one little wide turn and it's over.
Yeah. Did you prefer the points-based system?
Do you know what? Not really, because you still have to be consistent.
I was
going to say,
I actually
think qualifiers and stuff.
I'd actually rather it this way and just get it over and done with in one show and not have to think about, maybe I should do a couple more just to be safe throughout the year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and also I've never liked the point system because I've never been one to chase qualifiers.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm like, if I'm going to the show, I'll enter it, but I'm not going to travel up to Scotland because my dog's probably going to get E'd anyway.
Yeah,
so.
it is a bit. That's what I say. I'm like, that's a big risk. Like,
I mean, my dogs by no means are anything near the word consistent. So for me, it's always been a no-brainer. I'm like, I'm not going to travel all that way because 90% of the time they're probably going to get faulted or get E'd.
Yeah, I never have either. Like, so
it's never really been worth it for me.
Same for Champ. I've never got to the point where I've done that. I thought, you know what, I'll just try and get it at a more local show.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think sometimes, you know, people are so like determined to chase qualifiers that they actually do worse because they're like, I've come all this way to do one run. You know, I think I'd put more pressure on myself because I'm like, oh my God, I've come all this way. And like, I've spent 6 hours driving here and
to get E'd. Honestly, it'd be horrible.
I could do that at the show down the road, like 5 miles away.
Yeah, at least you can get straight home and go to bed.
Have a nice meal on the way home.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think as far as succeeding, again, success is a very relative word. Like, it depends what you're striving to achieve as to whether it's harder to succeed in juniors or seniors. But I'd say if you're doing, you know, if you're saying seniors as in champs, singles, stuff like that versus YKC qualifiers, it probably is easier to, you know, win the YKC qualifiers, but that's only if you're an older member, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, again, if you're a younger member, it's just as hard in comparison. Like, it's all relative to you at the time. So it's a hard one to answer, isn't it?
There's no kind of, like, strict measure of, like, the standard.
No, not at all.
It's just, like, you know, it's height dependent, it's grade dependent, you know? But I think it is harder in some heights than others.
Yes,
It is harder in some grades than others. You know, even in, like, I sometimes think grades like 2 and 3 are often more competitive than grade 7.
Yeah.
Because you've got all these super speedy young dogs that are coming through.
Yeah, with the handlers that have already got, like, champ dogs and stuff.
Yeah, that are going to be the future ones that are in champ, that are on the team, things like that.
True.
And actually, the times are so tight at grades 2 and 3 with these young dogs that are coming up.
Like more in the classes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's loads. I mean, some of the big 1 to 2s that I've been doing with Wild recently are huge classes, like over 100 dogs in a 1-2 medium.
Yeah, it's insane.
But, a lot of the time I do think it's more competitive sometimes in lower grades because you've got these inconsistent fast dogs that when they get it right are going to absolutely smash it out the park, but then get the odd little faults, miss a contact because they're inexperienced dogs.
Yeah, it's also show dependent as well. Like some shows the competition is harder than others because, there's more people there or whatever. Yes. So again, I don't think it's just a senior versus junior thing. There's just so many factors.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely a lot of different kind of subcategories within that.
Definitely.
With grades and heights and competitions and things like that.
I think all the best you can do is literally compete at your level, try your best, and then let the results come, because there's literally no point in thinking, oh, I'm against this person and this person, because, their results...
People go wrong, people get faults, people get E'd.
Your result depends on how your competitors do.
Literally, my pet peeve is people saying, oh, well, you're here, so I might as well not bother coming.
Oh, honestly, yeah. And I'm
like, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
It's called a competition.
Yeah. I know, people say that to me a lot, and I'm like...
I can go wrong just as much as the next person.
Yeah, I was like, I can get E'd.
I could drop a pole, I could get E'd,
Yeah, it's bizarre,
I'm not, like, the god of agility that gets it right all the time.
I suppose it is a compliment. It is a compliment, but it also... Maybe,
I don't see it as a compliment. I hate it when people say it to me. Because I'm like, hold on a minute, that's not very fair.
Yeah,
like,
see, at first...
I don't rock up to a show and go, oh, well, Summer's here, so I might as well not bother coming because she's going to beat me.
And even if you did think that, keep it in your brain, right?
Well, yeah, don't say it. But, at the end of the day, it's a competition. If Arrow beats one of mine, Arrow beats one of mine. If mine beats one of Arrow, mine beats Arrow.
Exactly. Exactly.
One day Arrow's going to win, the next day Coral's going to win, the next day Betty's going to win.
Yeah, exactly.
With different courses and things like that, you can't... it's so hard to say my dog's faster than yours because on one course, one might be faster than another, and on a different day, the other one's going to be faster than the other.
Yeah,
I get so offended when people are like, oh, well, I don't stand a chance because your dog's quicker than mine. Like, yeah, all right, if your dog's plodding round and mine's racing round, but at the top, when it's like, if I was to say, well, Betty's faster than Arrow, well, no, because you can't say that.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's course dependent, it's one singular turn dependent, it's poles dependent.
You can't measure a dog's speed against another dog's speed because, mine... Starfish can outrun Coral and Betty in a straight line, but she would be about 2 or 3 seconds off them on agility.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't measure it.
Yeah.
You can't do it
because there's too many factors.
Yeah.
But I always used to let those comments not let them, but sort of inadvertently let them put pressure on me. I was like, oh, this person expects me to beat everyone now, so I need to. And then I wouldn't, and I'd feel worse. And now I'm just
oh, well, they were right,
Yeah, let it go over your head.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned to do.
Yeah, I just go, okay.
So now it's time for you to give people some advice. So what is your best piece of advice for current juniors starting out in the sport? So nothing about the transition, just if you're a junior and you're just getting into agility.
So I would definitely say get the basics right first, Get your...
Foundations all the way.
Foundations, 100%, not even to do with agility, just your relationship with your dog.
Huge.
People always think it's about, what your dog can do on equipment, but it's not.
Not at all.
My dog could be great at all equipment, but if it doesn't want to work with me, then what's the point?
Yeah, I always say the equipment, teaching the equipment's actually the easiest part.
Yeah.
And people are like, what do you mean? That's the whole sport. And I'm like, no, there's the mental, there's the connection, there's all these things.
Yeah. Have fun. Don't let it become a chore. Because when you get to that point, it's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I've been there so many times and had to pull myself out of it. And it's horrible. Because you're like, oh, I used to love this. What's happened? And you have to refine that joy.
And you're like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I putting myself through this?
Yeah, literally.
And probably one of the most important things that people really underestimate is find what motivates your dog.
Yes, yeah.
Because I have so many people that are like, right, what does your dog work for? Oh, it works for a ball, okay? And it's hardly interested in this ball at all. And I'm like, right, what about food? Oh, no, he won't work for food. I'm like, right, give me the sausage.
Yeah, and it turns out loving
Give me
it.
the cheese. And the dog's like, oh my God, I love you. You're amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right, use this.
And then the dog's got a whole new mindset.
Absolutely. And they're like, well, what, like, how have you done that? I'm like, I haven't done anything.
Yeah. You just need to listen to what your dog is actually wanted.
Yeah. And the worst one for me was people always used to tell me that my dog should be able to tug. And, you know, you need to get your dog to tug. Like, you know, it'll never work if it doesn't tug. I'm like, actually, I've now got 2 dogs that won't tug.
None of my dogs have ever tugged. I've never had a tugger. Ever.
Really?
Yeah, really. Like, Arrow did a little bit when he was younger, and then I made the mistake of not realising he was teething, and it hurt him, and he went off it. So now he just works for food, and it doesn't matter because it makes him fast, it makes him driven.
I've got 2 that work for tuggies. I've got 1 that works for a treat ball, and I've got 1 that works for a ball.
Yeah.
And the best thing I ever did was change Star from a tuggy to a ball. She's a different dog from that day forward, and I swear to you that dog would not be what it is today if I didn't use a ball with her.
It's these little things, isn't it, that you don't even think about. But I think the tugging is like glamorized for whatever reason, or trendy or whatever, and it's just not necessary.
And I think probably the last thing as well is, you know, make use of what you've got at home. You don't always need to buy hundreds of pounds worth of equipment. I mean, if you can, fantastic. But like I say, I've got a wing in the living room that I do a couple of minutes, you know, just to reinforce things. And the more you can do things like that, the quicker you'll be able to transition your skills into courses.
Yeah, absolutely. If you, like you said earlier, foundations. If you've got those, it'll be way easier to like start course running, stuff like that.
100%.
Definitely. So what is your best piece of advice for current juniors transitioning to senior agility then? So if you've got a junior that's about to kind of age out and they're thinking, oh God, I've got to compete against all the seniors now.
So I would say don't feel pressured to kind of conform to what you think people say or what you feel like you should be doing. So I struggled with this quite a lot. I was like, well, other people that are doing well are doing this, so I feel like I should do this, or I feel like I should go to this show, or I feel like I should do this show, or, you know, don't feel pressure to to do the norm. Like, feel free to go against the norm. It's not wrong. It's okay to do what you want to do rather than feel forced to do something that you feel you should be doing.
There is literally no right or wrong in it at all.
100%. And, you know, you need to trust your skills, your dog's skills and your own handling capabilities. And I always try and take away something positive and negative from each run. So even if I've like had a really, really rubbish run and I'm like, oh my God, that was so embarrassing. Do you know what? She did her weaves. Oh my God, did you see her weave entry? Or
yes, there's always
her
something.
dog walk with a really like difficult exit, or she did this bit of skill that I didn't think she'd do. And then, you know, but I also need to work on this because she really struggled with that, or you know, I probably need to train that a little bit more.
Absolutely.
And my biggest thing that I've started doing that's really helped me to feel less, not disappointed with bad runs, but to not kind of worry about, you know, get worked up over, oh, well, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, and this didn't work and that didn't work, is to set myself a couple of goals for each run. So this is especially if you're doing big qualifiers and things like that and tryouts. So at tryouts this year, before each run, on the start line, or like in the warm-up area, I'd say to myself, right, in this run, and it helps sometimes if you can say it to somebody, so you've kind of got like somebody to hold you to it.
Yeah, accountability.
Yeah, so I would say like, right, in this run, my goal is to get 3 to 4 with this handling manoeuvre, really neatly.
Yes.
And set something so tiny that it's achievable, and set a couple of them. So if 3 to 4 doesn't go right,
you've got another one.
You've got another thing to say, well, actually, I wanted to get the weave entry with me standing at point X.
Yes. It's always like setting yourself up for success, basically, isn't it?
Yeah. And, you know, rather than being like, I need to get around this whole course, be like, right, I want to do the first half and I want to try and get a blind in there, or I want to try and do something here that I'm not used to doing, but I think it'll be the best way of getting around it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because then you'll come out going, oh my God, she did 3 to 4 like I wanted her to.
Yeah, or in my case, often it's
an absolute shambles.
Yeah, or often in my case, it's, oh my God, I actually made the blind. Which is always a surprise.
Oh dear, yeah, no, I'm terrible. I'm like, uh-oh, emergency Red Cross.
Yeah, it's scary though, isn't it, having a dog come up the back here?
I know. At least you can hear us. At least ours are noisy. It's when you get silent ones, you're like, where are they?
Yeah, good point. It's like they could be 5 meters away or on my knees, like, you never know.
I'm like, I can hear where Coral is. I'm like, oh, she's still in the tunnel, I'm fine.
Yeah, very true.
Do my cross.
Although, yeah, Arrow sometimes goes silent in like stuff like that, and then only does it on his tight turns or something. So if he's in the tunnel or on the dog walk, I'm like, I've no idea. Yeah. But no, that's a big
definitely, you know, set yourself goals, but also it's okay to say, do you know what, that bit didn't actually go to plan. You know, it's not wrong if something doesn't go to plan.
Yeah, and it's also all right sometimes to come out of a run and go, that was just that. I didn't like that. That was not good. Like, that's fine too. Like, I do that too. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
I do that all the time. I'm like, well, that was rubbish, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's so normal.
I mean, you were pretty good, mate, but Mummy was rubbish.
But that's why I always
normally how our conversations go after our run. You were great, mate. Mummy was rubbish.
That's why I always get my videos filmed, not just for social media, but so I can then look back on it, and there's always something to find that's good, and always something to find to work on, like that in every run, always. Like, you can't convince me otherwise, always.
Yeah. 100%, and I think it's one of the biggest things of developing as a handler as well, is to be able to say, actually, yeah, we weren't perfect all the time. And that is a really hard thing, you know, as much as people go, you know, oh, you know, I'm not very self-centered and things, it's really hard to accept that you're not perfect, you know?
Yeah, hugely.
Because a lot of the time, you see yourself as 100% and you compare yourself to other people rather than comparing yourself to yourself.
Yeah, yourself in the past.
You know, and being able to go, do you know what, I've come a long way from that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm not where the top is, but considering where I was, I've set myself a new goal.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then you'll go on to improve instead of kind of just feeling demoralised and giving up.
Yeah, definitely.
Huge. So other than Crufts then, what events do you recommend to juniors? And I feel like we said earlier, there's not that many these days, but...
Yeah. Again, it depends on the level. Any sort of finals and things are good experience, you know, like getting into finals at Iconic. I know like Agility Club do some finals. You know, anything that you can qualify at your grade or your level, you know, it's all good experience. And I know back to... a junior competition as part of the WAO qualification, but it's also its own standalone event. So even if you're not aiming to qualify for WAO, it's its own standalone event, so you become the junior champion. And that's always a really good event because it's an agility and a jumping combined. It's under the pressure. You know, you have to run in strict order, and it kind of simulates that high pressured environment. And also for those at a higher level, you know, the EO simulators and the GB qualifiers that they're doing this year, you know, things like that, enter them, have a go, you know.
Yeah, why
there's
not?
There's nothing stopping you, you know, just because it's for the adult team, there's nothing stopping you from doing it.
No, exactly.
Absolutely nothing stopping you.
And respect for really juniors going into that and putting themselves in that position. Do you know what I mean? That's really... That's really admirable.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, there's no harm in having a go. And, you know, big respect to anybody that does have a go, because, you know, you have to have a lot of courage to put yourself into a situation of that sort of pressure.
Definitely.
And, you know, if your dog's got the skills, absolutely go for it, because it's just so important to get the experiences you can while you can have them.
Definitely.
Because you'll look back on it and go, do you know what? I wish I would have done that now because I'd be more prepared for this.
Yeah, exactly. Is OJAC still a thing? It is, isn't it?
I don't know.
I was thinking this actually the other day randomly when I was reading these questions. I was like, OJAC. I remember that. I loved OJAC.
Because I thought about that and then I thought, but it wasn't on this year, but I don't know what they're doing with it. I think they're carrying it on in some form, but I'm not quite sure what.
Okay. So I was going to say that was amazing to do as a junior. So if it's still going on, do that. If it's not, then that's really sad because I loved it.
I know, yeah, it was a really good event.
It was good fun. So this one's kind of pivoting then, because obviously you judged in the YKC ring at Crufts this year, or assistant judge, didn't you?
I did indeed.
Yeah, so someone says, do you think you will prioritise judging over qualifying to compete at Crufts going forward? So you're judging there next year, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
So you're assistant judging this year and you're actually judging there next year.
God help you all.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, so this is it's not a tricky one. It's probably a shocker to a lot of people because actually I would prefer to judge going forwards rather than compete.
Okay, interesting.
I would like to compete, obviously. Like, I'd like to get my dogs there. But, you know, obviously I can't do it this year now, so I can't qualify this year. And then the chances of me going back to competing in YKC after I've judged is slim.
True.
But I would like to qualify for Crufts. I've always said I'd like to qualify for Crufts, but I don't particularly have a goal like I want Coral to compete in champ or I want Betty to compete in singles, or, you know, I haven't got a specific goal as such for a specific dog or event. I would just like the experience at some point to compete at Crufts, no matter what dog it's with.
Yeah, and you've got years, like future
adults.
dogs, everything.
Yeah, so I'm not in a rush to particularly compete. I would like to compete there, obviously, but I'm not pushing it and putting pressure on myself to do it because, like you say, I've got all the time in the world, and also I can compete. I can try and qualify any year, but being offered to judge isn't something that you get offered every day.
No, exactly. That's crazy.
So, you know, whether I wanted to compete or not, you know, the answer is yes, I'll judge.
Yeah, so, because the opportunity's there. And like I said,
you're never going to get an opportunity like that again. So I would like to do more sort of high level competitions with my dogs, but only if like I say, I'm a big believer in fate, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And if it isn't, it isn't. Like,
exactly.
The dogs that I've got at the minute, Coral and Betty have medalled at international events, and do you know what? They owe me absolutely nothing.
That's so
They've
true.
done more than I ever would have expected them to do. And if they never make it to Crufts and Olympia and things like that, fine, you know. They've done other things, and they've brought joy to my life away from agility that I couldn't even compare to winning a ticket or, you know, going to Olympia. I could never compare, you know, them as pets.
No, definitely. And that's the main thing, isn't it? Because that's the majority of your time with them.
Yeah. So really, going forward, judging is something I would like to pursue, but obviously it depends on me getting champ status and things like that, being able to progress on up the kind of judging ladder, if that makes sense.
Again, it's more...
that is my plan. That is my plan. It's
again, like you said, what's meant to be will be, whichever that is. You know, these opportunities often
and
just
however
come to
it
us.
happens, whenever it happens, you know.
It happens when we don't expect it often, and you just have to do it, don't you?
Yeah. And yes, I was gutted to have to say that I couldn't compete this year, but, you know, things happen for a reason.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You know,
and it is such an amazing opportunity.
But look at the opportunity I had, and look at the experience I had, and look at the people that I met, and things like that when I was at Crufts.
100%.
You know, and I wouldn't change that experience for the world.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. That is a cool opportunity. Very cool. So last question then. Last question. What are your current personal agility goals going forward? So that kind of follows on from the the last question, I guess.
Yeah. Really just to, enjoy running my dogs, have fun with them. As long as they're enjoying it, I'm happy,
Definitely.
Enjoy running with no pressure and just, like, whatever happens,
That is the best
good or
mindset.
bad. I would like to get started grade 7 this season, and bring on Wild. I'm really excited to bring her on, because she's a super, super little dog, but it's just trying to tame the beast.
Yes, absolutely. Wild by name, wild by nature.
Oh, very much. She's sitting here like, I'm not naughty. I don't know what you're talking about. Look at me, I'm good as gold.
Bless her. No, that's exciting.
No, that's not true, is it?
It's always exciting bringing a young dog in.
Yeah, it's very exciting. She's very special. She's very different, and she'll be good fun. She'll be very good fun.
How old is she now?
She's nearly 3.
That's still a baby in my eyes. Arrow's nearly 6, and I'm like, he's a baby.
She is the baby. You are the baby, aren't you? Yeah.
Baby status is not reserved for actual physical puppies. It's, like I said, Arrow is a baby, and no one can tell me otherwise.
She'll be a baby till she's like 10 and calms down.
Exactly. I quite like that you don't have any like specific event like qualification goals for this season to achieve by this date. Like it's quite nice.
So lax.
It's like, quite nice that you just want that mindset goal more than anything.
I'm so chill. I'm so like, I used to get so pent up about competing, and I just got to this stage in my life where I was like,
can't do it anymore.
Why am I getting like this?
Yeah, exactly.
What am I getting at? I'm not my dogs don't care. I care way too much. Like, what is this achieving? It's not.
It's actually only making you feel worse.
Stressed out.
Yeah, definitely.
Stop enjoying it. Whereas I'm like, do you know what? There's been so many things that have happened in the past couple of years where I'm like, as harsh as it sounds, and this is genuinely one of the things that I do live by, is that I might not be here tomorrow.
Yeah,
my dogs might not be here tomorrow.
Yeah. That's it. Anything can happen.
So, without swearing, like,
I'll go for it.
Forget about it and go and have fun.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Like, enjoy the time you've got with them. They're not here forever. And at the end of the day, like, they're only part of our lives, but we are their whole life.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
I just feel like I owe it to my dogs to be like, you enjoy doing this, so go do it.
Yeah.
Let's go have some fun. Forget about titles and winning and things like that. Let's just go and have a blast, mate. Like,
and then it is such like that change in mindset is everything. Like then you come out of the ring and you're buzzing.
My dogs come out so much happier.
Yeah.
My dogs come out the ring so much happier. Like, if they have a rubbish run now, I just come out laughing like, oh my gosh, you're so crazy. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Before I come out and I get really upset because I'm like, I'm letting my dog down. Like, we're never going to be any good. Whereas now I'm like, you're such a nutter. What are you doing?
Yeah, no, that is a great mindset.
You had the best time of your life, didn't you? When they come out and they're like, yeah, my toy, I'm so
wagging
excited.
The whole body.
Like, that was amazing. And I'm like, you're in there for about 3 minutes just not doing something. And they just look at me like, okay.
That was the best 3 minutes of my life. And often as well, like, you do end up actually doing better the more you're enjoying it, weirdly.
Yeah.
Well, not weirdly, but, almost not the less you try, but you know what I'm getting at. Like, the more you love what you're doing, the better you'll probably end up doing at it, basically.
Yeah.
So.
And as much as it can get frustrating, like, I just look back on it and I'm like, do you know what? Like, she did all the hard stuff and she just made us a mistake. Like,
yeah, happens to us all.
Yeah. And it doesn't make her a bad dog. It doesn't make me a bad handler.
Exactly.
It's just about, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time and gave a cue late. It's the simplest of things, but do you know what? That doesn't stop the dog enjoying it. That doesn't stop the dog's experience.
Exactly. No, it's a great mindset.
And I'm just trying to be more, like, relaxed and, like, my dog loves it, whether she's in there for 30 seconds and absolutely smashes it out of the park, or whether she's in there for 3 minutes because she's just being a total loony head. So, either way, like, whether it's in an Olympia qualifier or a cross qualifier, or whether it's in a 6-7 with 5 dogs in it, it's
Same
the
for the
run
dog.
for my dog. They don't know. They don't care.
Exactly.
They have no concept of what Crufts and Olympia is.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Coral gets to the NEC and she starts prancing like a dressage pony.
It hypes them up, doesn't it?
You know, she does love an atmosphere. But
you can have that atmosphere without doing those things anyway. You know, you can go to Iconics, you can do anything, like, to put your dog in that position if they enjoy it. Like, there's no pressure.
Yeah, 100%. And, like, my worst kind of thing is saying, my dog deserves better. My dog could do so much better with somebody else. And, you know,
I've
my
said
dog
that before
wants to do this. My dog wants to do that. No, my dog doesn't want to do this event and want to do that event. My dog just wants to do agility as fast as he can.
Yeah, I've said that before, and no one else has actually ran our, and yet I still like, I would be so much better if so-and-so ran it. I'm thinking, why? Like, no, not really. I've trained him. Do you know what I mean? Like, he does it for me because we have the connection, and you just catch yourself saying these things, and you're like, what do you mean? Like, you're being silly, and you have to just stop yourself.
You look back and you're like, why, like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Or,
it
like,
makes
if
no
you
sense,
say it to somebody else, they're like, what are you on about? Like, stop being ridiculous.
Oh, my poor mum, honestly, I vent to her all these things, and she's, like, trying to rationalise with me, and I'm like, no.
Our poor parent.
Yeah, and then hours later, I'm like, oh, she was right.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, I'm over it now. I've had my rant and I'm over it. Yeah. I wasn't really that upset about it anyway.
Yeah, I understand your rational brain now, Mum, thanks.
Now I'm out my, like, severe upset rage, yeah
honestly.
And I'm like, I'm no good at this, I'm giving up, I'm never doing agility again.
Yeah, it's so hard in the moment, but yeah, we keep coming back.
You get over yourself and you deal with it. It's
exactly. Well, that is all of the questions. You smashed it.
Cool.
Thanks for coming on again.
No, thanks for having me. It's been great.
And there you have it, guys. Mine and Mariann's take on the junior to senior transition within agility. Absolutely love this conversation. Like I said, I hope a lot of you can relate to it or at least take something from it, whether that's just extra knowledge about a different world of agility or, you know, something you can actually use to help yourself if you are going through or are going to go through the transition in the future. But yeah, amazing episode and, well, amazing conversation. I hope you guys think it's an amazing episode. Thank you again so much, Mariann, for coming onto the podcast. It was super fun to talk to you, especially about this topic that we both have in common. But yeah, so what do I have coming up in the next week, guys? A lot, okay? So I had quite a chill week last week, as I said in my intro, but next week we're going, okay? So first of all, I will be recording my podcast episode with Ashley Butler. That is going to be this time next week's episode. So get looking forward to that. We're going to be talking all about Ashley's journey from winning Britain's Got Talent all those years ago to now representing Agility Team GB with her dogs, which is really fun. I'm excited for that conversation. I then have 4 full days of agility. So on Friday, I have the international qualifier at Nottingham. And then Saturday, Sunday is Nottingham itself. So lots to look forward to there. We've got Champ, we've got qualifiers. Love that show. Probably one of my favourite shows because, well, not just because, but it helps that it's only 15-minute drive from my house, which is absolutely fantastic, especially when I'm there for 3 days. And then Monday is the second Team GB training day at Dog Sports Derby. So yeah, really enjoyed the first one. So super excited for this second one. And that'll be our last training day until Portugal, yeah? The next time we all get together as a team like that will be EO in Portugal, which is absolutely insane. I believe it's the last time anyway. But yeah, so busy week coming up. Lots of agility. And yeah, like I said, podcast with Ashley will be going live this time next week. So make sure you're following the podcast so you don't miss that. Also, if you're feeling generous, please do leave the podcast a 5-star rating and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I also offer one-to-one online agility coaching. So if you want some help setting your goals for this season or you're well underway trying to achieve them and just want a little bit of help or have a specific training issue that you would like some help with, please do fill out the online coaching inquiry form. That will be, the link for that is in the description of this podcast episode. Commits you to absolutely nothing. We can just have a chat and see if it's the right fit. And if not, obviously no hard feelings. But I would love to help you guys out. So please do give that a fill in and we can have a chat. Also, make sure you're following me on all of the social media platforms at Pause in Pursuit on pretty much everything. And Summer Clark as well on a few things like Facebook, etc. I'm pretty much on those platforms all day, every day, especially Instagram and TikTok as well, quite a popular one. That sounds like I'm addicted to social media, which I probably am. But what I'm saying is you can keep up with me over there. I'm active a lot. So yeah, you can see everything that I'm getting up to. And please do, if you have any more questions, about the content of today's episode, or any questions about anything in general, please do send me a DM. My DMs are always open and I love chatting to you guys, so please do get in touch. And also please do keep sending me your podcast episode requests, so topics you would like me to cover in solo episodes in the future, and also guests that you would like to see me talk to in the future on this podcast, and also the topics that you would like me to cover with those guests. But I'm pretty sure that is everything, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Look forward to the episode with Ashley next week. And I'll probably see quite a few of you at Nottingham, because it's quite a popular show and it has a lot of stuff. So good luck to everyone else competing there, and I'll probably see you guys there. Have a great week, guys. Bye.